Hello, everyone, and welcome again to the Unfound Podcast Channel on YouTube. I am, of course, Unfound's host, Ed Densel. As the title suggests, I will be going over some map analysis for the disappearance of Robert McLaughlin, aka Francis. And this is an episode that came out on September 27th of 2024. I hope you will give this video a thumbs up. If you are not yet a subscriber to this channel, please do so by hitting the button down there in the bottom right-hand corner of the screen. Like, share, do whatever you got to do. Tell all of your true crime friends about Unfound and this channel. Now, you may be surprised about this video because I did not mention anything during my interview with Bella that I would be doing this. And it was kind of on my mind. It just slipped my mind during the interview. But here we are. And this is one of those situations, and I ran into this recently with a disappearance that I think we will eventually cover on Unfound, although I cannot make a prediction when that will happen. Where in this other disappearance, not Robert's, but this other one, I'm talking to this person who will probably eventually be the guest. And just what this it was a guy, was explaining the circumstance and a little bit about the missing person. I'm thinking to myself, I bet this guy lived or was last seen near a river. And where this guy went missing is not an area that is familiar to me. Not a city that's familiar to me. But I made that prediction, and I ended up being right. And it's kind of the same way with Robert's disappearance. I'm not telling you what to think. I'd like to think here at Unfound. We're just going over how to think. And it very well may be that somebody picked him up and something happened, or he took off and is still even alive here in 2024. These things are all possible. But I will tell you that in finding out, and Bella and I talking, this was a disappearance, and I'm in my head, I'm thinking, I bet there is a river close to where he was last seen. Well, now you are looking at where he and Bella lived together. Now, it should be understood, and Bella knows this, that I had picked out a different address originally, and then she corrected me as to where they actually lived. I was looking at a different location according to my database. And she corrected me, and both locations near rivers, but this correct one that you're looking at here on the screen is even closer than the other one is. And so, like I said, I'm not here to kind of subconsciously put something in your head, but this has to be considered. This is the address that Bella gave me right here. And you can see the water is right there. And like I said, I kind of knew this before I knew this. It's just the way it was explained, this just seemed like a very viable possibility. Now, what if I'd been wrong? I'd be here telling you how I'm wrong, and I was wrong about that, and that would go off on a different line of conversation. But those aren't the facts for Robert's disappearance. This is where he last was. Like I said, it very well may be somebody picked him up or something. But when we have rivers, especially so close to where the last person was seen, it's noteworthy. Now, if this were a lake, it would be much different. If it were an ocean, well, that would a little bit more, well, it just depends. Of course, we've covered disappearances like that. The Gulf of Mexico with Tiffany Daniels, the Atlantic Ocean with J.R. Mullihan, just as examples. And you have to maybe be a little more particular in analyzing those disappearances. But when you have rivers, and of course rivers have flow, which is really what I'm talking about here, that lakes, for the most part, don't have currents. And if they do, they're very, very slow. Oceans the same way. Rivers, totally different. And of course, we've covered disappearances that have occurred upon, along the Mississippi, the Delaware, the Rio, the Colorado, all these rivers, big rivers in the United States. So this is where Robert was, right here. And the Trout River, this must be, what do they call it, a tributary or estuary or something, tributary of the river. Here's the main river right here, the Trout River. But this little offshoot also has the label of the Trout River right there behind where they lived. And I think that we have to think seriously about this, because the circumstances of the 2014 where Robert got hit by the truck, still very unclear, despite it being, 10 years. And it was, of course, unclear in 2017 when he went missing, and nothing's clear now. Now, what may help in all of this is looking at a lot of satellite photos over the last 8 years, especially regarding waterways. Being that I see all of this kind of mucky stuff in this river tells me that, at least at the time this picture was taken, the river doesn't have a very fast flow. Whereas when you get out here, you can see how clear this river is, the actual real Trout River, how clear it is. The banks are very well defined. Obviously has much more of a flow. So I guess what I'm saying here is, if for some reason Robert/Francis went into the water over here, if this is what happened, if he went into the river over here, I think there is a good possibility that searchers could still find his remains in here, because it seems like this water doesn't flow very quickly. Whereas if you went over here and, let's just say, went out onto this bridge, once again, this is all just theorizing. There's no proof of any of this, to be clear. But if you went over and went to this bridge and jumped off, then that is probably going to be a lot. If anybody wants to do a search on that, that's going to be a much, much more difficult task. And the odds of finding his remains over here in the main river, a lot lower. Whereas I think, even though it's been 7 years, I think it's worth somebody's time to go in here and look around just to see. It's very sad. But if we're looking to solve and resolve these disappearances, this area right here where the cursor is circling needs to be investigated. And my understanding that there was really nothing that went on at the time. So get out there in a couple boats, pontoon boats, scuba divers. Who knows what you might find. And it might not even be that you actually find Robert, but let's say, what if you were to find his phone there, just as an example, or the key? If you have a metal detector or something out there, then that would certainly mean something. It's something to consider. And so that's really all I have for this map analysis. Like I said, it's getting to the point, maybe some of you the same way, I'm hoping that's true, that you start hearing about a disappearance and it's just something, a light bulb says, I bet this person was last seen near a river. It's amazing how many times that ends up being true. And of course, it means something. So there you go. That's what our experience is starting to tell us. And that's what we're here to do, all to learn after 8 years of doing the podcast. But that is my analysis, showing you where Robert last was. Thank you for watching. Please give this video a thumbs up. subscribe, share, like, do whatever you got to do. And I will talk to you again